Hi, I'm Juanita and welcome back to the Knit Guru. At the start of this week we made a coffee cosy for Dad for Father's Day because it's Father's Day here in New Zealand at the very start of September. But I also know that in America we've got back to school season, and what's more challenging than teachers? Nothing, because I am a teacher. Here we're going to make this coffee cosy. This is a really easy, quick knitting project, and if you want a first colour work project, this is a good one to go for. We've got increases, we've got ribbing, and we've got colour work. And we've got a chart as well as this sort of tutorial that you can follow along with. The free pattern will be down below. On one side we've got this apple. They're nice because we all know we give teacher an apple. And then on this side we've got the apple with the slice cut out of it and the, what do you call it, yarn stem and stitches, out stitches, pips. You don't have to change colours for the ribbing if you do not want to. I just felt the need. So you're going to need 4mm needles. This is knit flat. You're going to need some DK yarn scraps, but it's going to be less than 25 grams of yarn total. There's very little red, very little brown, and a bit of white in this one, but that's just from my colour choices. It is knit and seamed. There's a seam that runs down here. My sewing's not the greatest, so you will be able to see it. Let's get into it. Right, we're going to start off by casting on 36 stitches. Now, we are going to have 2 sets of increases over this entire coffee cozy, because what we have with the coffee cups is that they're smaller at the bottom and they're wider at the top, and so I find that by making one that's perfectly round, it just doesn't sit as nicely as making one that's got a little bit of increasing on the way up. It's not going to challenge you too much. First of all, we're just going to do 6 rows of ribbing, which is where we've got a knit 2, purl 2 rib across the whole thing. Now, I've done this with a colour change, but you do not have to. You can do whatever you want. She says, coughing. Right, my next colours are going to be the white and the red, because that's going to be for my apple. There's no increases during our ribbing. At the moment, I'm just going to trim off my coloured yarn because I decided to do a brown, or a tan, if you will, for the top and the bottom, mainly so that it would tie in the colour of the stem. And the pips, oh, might be dying, I'm not dying. Right, okay, so our first row here, we're just going to be knitting this through in white, and you're going to notice that we've got some increases going on. So we're going to knit across 8, and then we're going to do an increase of 1 stitch. So that's going to mean that we're going to increase 4 stitches over the course of this whole row. When we have a look at our chart, all of these grey bits are stitches that don't exist yet, and you'll notice that there's a little symbol that says where you're going to increase a stitch. There's no increases in colour work in the same rows. That's just to make things nice and easy. Right, so now on our first colour work row, this is on a purl row. Now it's our second colour work row. This is a knit row. So as you'll see as you're following along on the chart, you're going to knit across, and then you're going to purl across in the opposite direction. And you're just going to knit a white stitch where there's a white square and a red stitch where there's a red square, and you're just going to follow it along. Now, I used some little balls here, so my reds and my whites are separate. So I've got little balls in between, or bobbins, if you're wanting to use a flash word for it. And you're going to end up with the full apple on one side and the half apple on the other. Now, it's just going to start working up really quickly because it's not many rows whatsoever. When we get to the last row of colour work, you may notice I have not done any of the brown stitches. Now, the pips and the stem, I'm doing those with duplicate stitches, which means that I'm going to stitch over the stitches at the very end. Here's our full length all knitted up and cast off. So you can see we've got we're going to put in our duplicate stitches here. Those are just done by taking a needle and stitching over the top. This is where I should have had a different colour brown. Now this is done, we're going to darn in our ends, fold it in half, and seam up the back. And that's it. It's ready to be given away. You can give this with a coffee cup or a coffee card even. Well, I hope you enjoyed making this yarn cozy, and that I hope you enjoyed making the yarn cozy at the start of the week for Father's Day. So I'm going to put a couple of links here for you. YouTube's going to think that you want to watch this video. I don't ever know what they're going to pick for that one. It's probably going to be something deep from the archive, who knows, or a mermaid, who knows. And down here there'll be a playlist, and I think my playlist here will be my back to school playlist, because why not if we're doing this. And over here, if you want to hang out and see some more stuff, this will be my subscribe button. Again, we live in the vain hope that I'm actually going to remember to put any of those things in, but I will catch you next week. Bye.